Mate, I don't know how else to say this, but Australia is getting absolutely shafted. The Albanese government is running this country into the ground faster than a tradie on a Friday knockoff. And now, they reckon they are gonna crack down on supermarket price gouging? Yeah, right. Like we haven't heard that one before. Before we rip into this absolute train wreck, do me a solid, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below telling me how much extra you're paying for groceries every week. And if you're as sick of these clowns in Canberra as I am, check out our Albo Says Relax t-shirts, only $23 for the next 48 hours. Link in the description. Right. Let's get into it. So, Albanese's big plan to help Australians struggling with skyrocketing grocery prices is, drumroll please, a task force. That's it. A bloody task force. Mate, what does that even mean? A bunch of overpaid bureaucrats sitting in an office sipping lattes, writing reports no one will read? If you walk into Woolies or Coles right now, you're paying through the nose for everything. A loaf of bread? $6. A block of cheese? $10 easy. And don't even get me started on meat, unless you're happy with the dodgy home-brand sausages that taste like cardboard. And what's the government doing? Setting up a committee to think about maybe, possibly, at some point in the future, making price gouging illegal. Great. So we just have to hold on for another, 5 years before something actually changes? By then, we'll all be eating instant noodles and pretending it's fine dining. But it gets better. Shadow Energy Minister Ted O'Brien has just exposed the Albanese government for what they are: weak, incompetent, and about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Labor is shutting down coal plants left, right, and centre while rolling out renewables that can't even power a bloody toaster when the sun goes down. Meanwhile, O'Brien reckons the first nuclear power plant in Australia, if the coalition wins, won't be up and running until 2035. That's a decade away. So what do we do in the meantime? Burn candles? Rub two sticks together? Nah, mate. Labor's solution is simple. Let prices skyrocket while they sit on their hands. Your power bills doubled? Suck it up. Your heater barely runs in winter? Too bad. But don't worry. Renewables will save us in a few decades. And here's the real kicker. While you're out there getting screwed on groceries, fuel, and power, Labor is absolutely raking it in. In just 3 years, they've sucked an extra $35,000 out of taxpayers' pockets. 35 grand. And what do we get in return? A pathetic 70 cents a day in relief, in 15 months' time. Mate, that's not a cost of living plan. That's a bloody joke. You can't even buy a Freddo frog for 70 cents these days. Meanwhile, Peter Dutton and the coalition reckon they'll slash fuel excise to give Aussies relief immediately. No waiting around, no dodgy backroom deals. Just actual help when we need it. But nah, Albo and his mates are too busy planning their next taxpayer-funded junket to care. Oh, and let's talk about Albanese's latest desperate stunt. He kicked off his election campaign in Peter Dutton's own backyard in Brisbane, trying to look tough. But here's the reality. Albo is about as intimidating as a wet paper bag. This is the same bloke who gets flustered answering simple questions, who needs a full team of advisors just to remind him what day it is. And he thinks standing in Brisbane with a couple of staged photo ops is going to convince Aussies he's got a clue? Pull the other one. And what's his big, game-changing election promise? More committees. More task forces. More talking about doing something instead of actually doing it. Mate, Australians aren't stupid. We know a scam when we see one. At this point, I have to ask, how much more are we willing to take? How much longer do we let these idiots run the country before we finally say enough's enough? Because if Albo and his mates get another term, we are in for another 4 years of skyrocketing prices, energy blackouts, and tax hikes so high you'll need a telescope to see the top. So here's what you do. Wake up, Australia. Stop voting for these clowns who couldn't organize a piss-up in a brewery. Demand real solutions. And if you're as fired up as I am, share this video. Let everyone know what's really going on. And for the love of God, don't let Albo scam his way into another term. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you legends in the next one.